Hey everyone, what's going on? Nate Greco here from the Mohawk family, and today we are at the Mohawk Collision Center to go over the step-by-step process of what happens when you come in to get your vehicle repaired. So this is step one, the car comes in here first, right?
Correct. Yep.
And then what happens?
It's going to come in here. The very first thing we're going to do is what they call a pre-scan.
Okay.
Oftentimes involved in an accident, there's lots of hidden computer codes for things that have malfunctioned.
Oh.
So the only way to find it out is to do a pre-scan.
Okay.
That gives us a whole data printout of everything that's going on with that vehicle and to let you know if there's any concerns.
Oh.
We have the opportunity then to look a little further if we do find something.
So there's a lot more things than just, I have a dent in my bumper.
For example, if you have a bumper on any of your more later model vehicles that's been damaged, the ADAS systems could be compromised. Those are the advanced driver systems.
Okay.
Okay. Things like your advanced cruise control, like your collision warning,
Gotcha.
blind spot monitors, that sort of thing.
Okay.
They could be compromised. You might not even know.
So after we do that pre-scan, where do we head from here?
So we also need to, at that point, determine if the vehicle requires a wheel alignment.
Okay.
If it does, right down in the shop here, we have our state-of-the-art Hunter wheel alignment system. We'll do the wheel alignment at that point in time to make sure that it just needs an alignment, or if there's anything bent in the suspension, then we know that.
Where does our vehicle go from there?
It moves to our blueprint and disassembly process.
All right, well, let's head there.
All right.
We're now at the blueprinting, right? This
Yep.
is blueprinting
So this is
and
going to be our
disassembly?
blueprint and meticulous disassembly.
Okay.
Okay. Our disassembly technicians are going to be taking it apart. Our back-end estimator, repair planner, he's going to be writing what we call a supplement. And a supplement is what is over and above the original estimate.
Okay.
It's very common, especially in this day and age, for there to be a lot of hidden damage.
Gotcha.
Once we get them apart, then we can actually figure out every single thing that's wrong with the car, and then we can build the entire repair plan for that vehicle. So when we disassemble the vehicle, every part that's damaged will go on one of these carts.
Okay.
The reason for that is we know if we have 10 parts on this cart and we need 10 replacement parts, once we receive those replacement parts, we can mirror match them to make sure it's exactly the correct one for that vehicle. We take the new one, compare it to the old one, it's correct, we know we can continue on with the repair. We also make sure that we bag and tag every damaged piece of hardware. Every clip, nut, and bolt is accounted for. Make sure we get all those replaced. The last thing we want to do is get to the end of a repair and hold something up because we don't have the right clips.
Right.
Right? Every nut and bolt that comes out of the vehicle that's going back in has its own special place. They're all tagged exactly where they're supposed to go on that vehicle. So that way, if I'm the guy that took the car apart and I'm not here when it goes to go back together,
Right.
you could put it back together just by knowing everything that's here. Our goal is to make sure when we do that supplement, we
Right.
get everything on one supplement. It expedites the whole process.
Gotcha. So do all the pieces stay on here?
All of the damaged pieces will stay on here.
Okay.
Any parts that we're taking off your car that we call R&I, remove to reinstall. The reason we would take a part off a car and not replace it is because maybe we're refinishing. For example, if we have to refinish a door, we need to remove the door handle and the mirror, we're going to reuse that door handle and mirror.
Right.
So we don't leave any parts in the cars.
Gotcha.
Every part goes into a special bin marked for that vehicle and goes up in our bin shelving.
I'd love to take a look at that.
Absolutely.
All right, let's check that
All right.
out. All right, so Jerry, this is the storage area, right?
We've already seen what we do with the parts that we're getting rid of, the damaged parts on the car.
Right.
So a lot of those parts are going to be reused, all right? There's nothing wrong with them.
Gotcha.
We don't want them to get damaged while they're here. So we have items like these tubes in which we keep moldings that are pretty fragile. You know, we can store them in here.
Yeah.
They won't end up damaged. The bins that are assigned to your vehicle for personal items or for the parts that are going back on the car right here. As we move down here, fragile items such as door glass. We certainly don't want it to get broken.
No.
Door panels, right? A lot of times we're replacing a door, but the door panel is perfectly fine.
Right.
So we want to make sure that the door panel stays in good repair while it's here.
So everything has a place and everything's organized.
That's the goal. Keep everything organized, nice and neat, no damage, no concerns. That customer doesn't have those worries that when they show up, is not only is their car going to be repaired, but is there any other issues that
Yeah.
could cause while it was at the shop, right?
Yeah,
We certainly don't want our customers to go through any of that
Awesome.
anxiety. So we're completely disassembled at this point. All our parts are set, and we've determined whether it needs to go to heavy or light body.
Okay.
So we'll head over there and check out
All
what
right,
goes
let's
on.
do that. We are back on this side, so the car doesn't actually move, right? The car would just be on the side, we just move the parts.
We moved it, we showed where we were when we took the parts. Yeah,
Right.
The car's still in that same area. It's basically, we're going to determine whether it needs heavy collision repair or just cosmetic collision repair. Cosmetic is basically dents, scratches, that sort of thing, where your heavy collision and structural is going to be more frame and secondary structural oriented.
What's the average time that a vehicle is spent in here?
It really depends on the size of the claim. I mean, obviously, if you have a large structural claim, it could be, 2 to 3 weeks for a large repair. Where we have something like a bumper scratch, it might be only 1 day.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
Mohawk Collision on average runs about 4 to 5 days quicker than market standard.
Okay.
So we can typically, due to our efficiency, get a vehicle done 4 to 5 days quicker than market standard. We have some of the best equipment on the market. Car aligner especially. Car aligner is a leader in the industry. We have car aligner welders, multi-stage welders. We have resistance spot welders from car aligner. We have frame and measuring equipment from car aligner, the best in the industry. We also have Chief for our heavy trucks and things like that, our Chief equipment. We utilize GFS Revo curing systems. We can dry primer where to air dry that primer might take an hour to 2 hours. We can cure that primer 100% properly in about 8 minutes.
Wow.
So some of the technology we use is
Makes
pretty
it more
advanced.
efficient.
And the training that goes into that so that the technicians know how to use that equipment correctly is
How much
extremely
money do
important.
we have invested into this equipment to make things more efficient?
There's around $700,000 in equipment in this facility,
Wow.
give or take.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's just your big stuff. Recently we've added the addition of aluminum. What customers don't realize is that aluminum is a completely different type of repair process. It requires a separate room. Otherwise, if you repair aluminum in the same stall or bay that
Yeah.
you would steel, you'll have a cross-contamination problem.
Oh,
And while aluminum won't rust, it will corrode.
this is where everything gets repaired, right?
Once the repair process is complete, and then the vehicle will go to body QC.
Okay.
And body QC is essentially where our production manager goes over to make sure all the body work is repaired correctly to our standard before it goes to paint.
How many quality checks are there?
Throughout the process,
Yeah.
about a dozen.
About a dozen. All right.
Yep.
Well, we'll head over there and then we'll go to the paint shop.
All right.
All
sounds
right, let's do it. All right, so we are at the first QC check. Is that
good.
it?
Yep. So this is what we call body QC.
Okay, cool.
Okay. What takes place here is once the vehicle has been completed in the body department and it's heading for refinish, getting ready to get painted essentially.
Right.
It'll come over to one of these blue boxes, okay? It sits in these blue boxes until the production manager has the opportunity to do an inspection on all the body work.
Okay.
Make sure all of our welds are good and accurate. Make sure all of the body work is straight. All the gaps are nice and clean. We've also made sure that we've acquired any additional parts that we might require. For example, this vehicle has a pinstripe, so we've got to make sure we have the proper color pinstripe for this
There we
vehicle.
go.
So there's no concern on the day of delivery that we don't have the right color.
Yeah.
Basically, once it passes here, it moves on to the refinish stage.
Okay.
Okay. As we stated earlier, everything in the shop is set up in a horseshoe pattern.
Right.
Okay. So we go through each process all the way through. Essentially now we're about halfway.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
So we're going to move over to the paint prep area
Yeah.
and kind of take it from there.
Let's do it. All right, so what we got here?
So this vehicle's been approved through body QC. Okay, it's gone on to the refinish department. As
What's
you can
this green
see,
stuff?
that's primer. That's the
Okay.
primer that's over any of the body work. So that has to be sanded and prepped to get the vehicle ready for refinish.
And there's no glass on this.
So we've removed the glass so that we don't have any tape lines. That's one of the requirements from Honda and many of the other OEMs.
Okay.
So you don't want to leave the glass in and then tape off to it. In the future, 3-4 years down the road, you'll have paint flaking off. So we remove all the glass where
Oh,
we're going
wow.
to do any refinish work.
Wouldn't even thought of that.
So this will all get sanded, cleaned up, and prepped, masked. The vehicle will get masked up and ready for the paint process.
And I think there's one in the paint booth now we could probably take a look at.
There's probably one in the paint booth and some getting ready.
All right, let's see it.
All right.
All right, so we're pretty much halfway done. We're in the paint booth now, right?
Right.
Okay, cool. So what we got going on?
Basically, this has been prepped up for its refinish. Okay. The color's been made. What they're going to do now is get this all cleaned up, apply a sealer, the base coat, the clear coat, and then it'll be baked for 45 minutes at about 160, 170 degrees.
Wow. And you said 45 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
How many coats do they have to do?
So you'll have 2 coats of sealer.
Okay.
You'll have 1 to 2 coats of base coat, and then 2 coats of clear, and that clear will be baked for that 45 minutes.
Wow. 6 coats of paint.
Correct. Yep.
If my math suits me, right? Which
Yep.
doesn't always, but wow.
We have 3 different types of product that'll be going on it.
Oh, cool. So after this, it goes right out to what?
So once it's been baked and it's cured, then we can remove the all the wrapping and send it out to the detail department. And the next process is where it gets wet sanded and polished. What we're looking to do is remove any sort of nib or imperfection in the paint before we reassemble it.
Oh, cool. And you don't even have to bring it out. You literally just drive it through that door.
Right. Again, the horseshoe pattern. Nice,
All right.
Nice, easy flow.
Let's see it. All right, so it came right out of the paint booth right there and pops right here, huh?
It's here. So now it's been baked and finished. We're going to now wet sand and buff it so we remove any imperfections and we match the texture to the OEM for finish so we don't notice any change. Doesn't ever look like the vehicle's been repaired.
It doesn't even look like it's been in a collision. I'm assuming something here, but you can't tell. It looks like brand new doors.
So what we're going to do next after that's done, we're going to take all our new parts here and start the reassembly process.
Awesome.
So we've got our carts, we've mirror matched all those parts early on in the process to make sure we have all the right stuff, get everything back together the way it's supposed to be. Once this is completed, we will then do a post scan, which is to confirm that all the health checks, essentially
Just
what
like
we're doing.
the pre-scan.
Just like the pre-scan. We do the health check of the vehicle, make sure everything's operating correctly, all your safety systems are functioning properly, all the windows work, that sort of thing.
Just like we talked about earlier, are those little icons that might have popped up that we didn't know about?
Exactly.
With the OEM scanner that we had. You just plug that right back in and check it again.
If it requires a test drive, some of those post scans require a test drive. We're going to do that at this point in time. Any calibrations that it requires are going to get performed at this point in time as well. Once that's completed, there's a 75-point QC, quality control check, that we go through. And once we feel that that's passed all of those QC checks, we're then going to send it to our detail department. They're going to go through, do all the windows, wash and vacuum it, clean all the interior, shine up all the tires and all the trim, make it look like $1 million.
So it's literally going to look like it came out of factory.
That's pretty close. Yep.
That's awesome. Well, let's check out one of the final products, and we're almost done. We're pretty much done.
Sounds good.
All right, so we are at the final step. What we got going on?
So everything's been repaired, it's been finished, it's been cleaned, it's been put up front, been through one QC, it's going to go through a second one, and it will be out to go through, make sure all the windows are working, all those types of little things, that there's no water spots, that there's no wax spots, anything like that. Once that's all confirmed, we're going to finish up the final billing, give the customer a call, have them come on down and get their vehicle. When they get here, they'll be able to leave their rental car right here. Enterprise or Hertz will pick it up from here. Once that's completed, they'll go in, we'll go through the paperwork and everything that we did on the vehicle with the customer, get them their keys, and they're off on their way.
That's awesome.
Pretty straightforward.
I hope you found this video valuable. Now you understand the step-by-step process we take here at Mohawk Collision to make sure that your vehicle is repaired to the factory specifications. Now, if you ever have any questions, you can always reach out to Mohawk Collision. How are they going to do that, Jerry?
Give us a call at 518-370-4931 or go to MohawkCollisionCenter.com or check us out on Facebook.
Thank you.